chapter 30. Number 1. Such then, being the state of the case, and this number being found in all the most approved and ancient copies of the Apocalypse, and those men who saw John face to face bearing their testimony to it, while reason also leads us to conclude that the number of the name of the beast, if reckoned, according to the Greek mode of calculation by the value of the letters contained in it, will amount to 666. That is, the number of tens shall be equal to that of the hundreds, and the number of hundreds equal to that of the units. For that number, which expresses the digit 6, being adhered to throughout, indicates the recapitulation of that apostasy, taken in its full extent, which occurred at the beginning, during the intermediate periods, and which shall take place at the end. I do not know how it is that some have erred following the ordinary mode of speech, and have vitiated the middle number in the name, deducting the amount of 50 from it, so that instead of 6 decades, they will have it that there is but one. I am inclined to think that this occurred through the fault of the copyists, as is wont to happen, since numbers also are expressed by letters, so that the Greek letter which expresses the number 60 was easily expanded into the letter iota of the Greeks. Others then received this reading without examination, some in their simplicity and upon their own responsibility, making use of this number expressing 1 decade, while some, in their inexperience, have ventured to seek out a name which should contain the erroneous and spurious number. Now, as regards those who have done this in simplicity and without evil intent, we are at liberty to assume that pardon will be granted them by God. But as for those who for the sake of vainglory lay it down for certain that names containing the spurious number are to be accepted, and affirm that this name, hit upon by themselves, is that of him who is to come, such persons shall not come forth without loss, because they have led into error both themselves and those who confided in them. Now in the first place, it is loss to wander from the truth, and to imagine that as being the case which is not. Then again, as there shall be no light punishment inflicted upon him who either adds or subtracts anything from the Scripture, under that such a person must necessarily fall. Moreover, another danger by no means trifling shall overtake those who falsely presume that they know the name of Antichrist. For if these men assume one number, when this Antichrist shall come having another, they will be easily led away by him, as supposing him not to be the expected one who must be guarded against. Number 2. These men therefore ought to learn what really is the state of the case, and go back to the true number of the name, that they be not reckoned among false prophets, but knowing the sure number declared by Scripture, that is 666. Let them await in the first place the division of the kingdom into 10. Then, in the next place, when these kings are reigning and beginning to set their affairs in order, and advance their kingdom, let them learn to acknowledge that he who shall come claiming the kingdom for himself, and shall terrify those men of whom we have been speaking, having a name containing the aforesaid number, is truly the abomination of desolation. This too the apostle affirms. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. When they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall come upon them. And Jeremiah does not merely point out his sudden coming, but he even indicates the tribe from which he shall come, where he says, Jeremiah 8:16, We shall hear the voice of his swift horses from Dan. The whole earth shall be moved by the voice of the neighing of his galloping horses. He shall also come and devour the earth, and the fullness thereof the city also, and they that dwell therein. This, too, is the reason that this tribe is not reckoned in the Apocalypse along with those which are saved. Number 3, it is therefore more certain and less hazardous to await the fulfillment of the prophecy than to be making surmises and casting about for any names that may present themselves, inasmuch as many names can be found possessing the number mentioned, and the same question will, after all, remain unsolved. For if there are many names found possessing this number, it will be asked, which among them shall the coming man bear? It is not through a want of names containing the number of that name that I say this, but on account of the fear of God and zeal for the truth, for the name of Evanthus contains the required number, but I make no allegation regarding it.